Hi, folks. Welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. Well, the weather report today is that we finally got a decent amount of rain. In fact, you might be able to hear raindrops or water falling off the trees. Now, it's been a few hours since it stopped raining, but it was enough that even in the canopy, there's still water dripping off of the leaves. It wasn't enough. I didn't notice the creek really rose any. Because it's been so dry that the rain kind of soaked up. So there wasn't enough that there was a significant amount of runoff that would cause, creeks and stuff to start rising. But it was a pretty good amount of rain that came through yesterday afternoon and into the evening. So that's a blessing. Because my goodness, it has been so dry around here. And because of that, we're supposed to start seeing the temperatures, kind of go down. Today, it's still supposed to be about 90, which, that's not terrible in August, but definitely cooler than it's been, about 10 degrees cooler. But by next week, we're going to have this kind of cold front with, mid 70s. So that's going to be a big difference because it's been quite hot here lately. If you are still interested in my shirt that I designed, you can pick them up. These are limited run only. Sanctified Supply Company, they're making these shirts for us. There'll be a link down in the description below. This shirt and then a shirt that my wife designed. I designed this one. She designed one for herself. And so you'll be able to choose either this one or her shirt. Like I said, these are limited time, so these aren't gonna be up forever. That's through Sanctified Supply Company, and there'll be a link down below. So yesterday, I made a video talking about that India has come out and they have kind of appear to have switched sides. They're saying that they are aligned with China, that they will continue purchasing oil from China and Russia, that they're partners with China, and that they are signing a defense pact with China. And they also came out and publicly acknowledged that Taiwan is part of China. And, some of you yesterday didn't seem to care about that. I kind of think it's a significant deal because India has always, or at least a long time, has been a partner, an ally with the United States for the most part. And now they are, they're kind of, because, in the last few months or last year or so, BRICS, India's part of BRICS, and it's almost looked like India might not be quite that solidly a partner in BRICS. And now that's definitely changed. Well, this morning or last night, news came out that China is once again surrounding Taiwan with naval ships and planes. And while this happens from time to time, they do this. They've been doing this for the last few years. This one does look to be a little bit different. This is and I'm not trying to insinuate that this is the one, that this is the big one. But I will tell you that things look a little bit different. Not only are there naval ships and military planes that are surrounding Taiwan, but now there are landing craft, both military and civilian looking landing craft. There are ferries, and in the mix, it looks like that there's barges. These are barges that China's been building that would, be used for an amphibious landing to build, docks, bridges, things like that. And those are all currently being, moved around Taiwan. Now, again, I know that China does this from time to time. I think it's partly for just military training, but also to kind of tell Taiwan and the world that, hey, we can do this. But I think that there's an escalation here that's more than normal because of the style of landing craft, the style of ships that are being used. And it seems interesting that this has come right after India has made their open pledge to align with China. This is going to happen, and I think sooner than later. I've referenced a few times, but it was a couple of years ago a year and a half, 2 years ago, that the U.S. military put out a report that, and it was spun at the time. If you remember, I made a video. If you've watched my channel for a while, I made a video about this. And it was spun at the time that, oh, China's not getting ready to invade Taiwan. They're not getting ready to take Taiwan. But if you read the report, the Pentagon estimated that China would do this probably closer to 2027. Well, we're halfway through 2025, and the Pentagon's estimates certainly aren't always correct. Things change, plans change. The point is that this was a couple of years ago, and the Pentagon didn't say they weren't going to do it, that there was no evidence, no intelligence that China wouldn't do this. It was that it was going to be in the future. Well, we're now in the future. Tensions are rising. The tariff thing is increasing. It came out yesterday that the president, the White House, was saying that if the tariffs on nations like China, India, Russia, but really predominantly China, don't work, then there may be sanctions being put up on them. So here we are finding ourselves in a situation very similar to World War II, where the United States is placing high tariffs and sanctions on another country to get them to comply with what we want them to when it comes to trade and just global behavior. And this other country is trying to assert themselves as not just a world leader, but the world leader. And the question is will our tariffs and will the sanctions that may come along with those be enough? And I think probably most of us would say no. I don't think so personally. I think that China is dead set on continuing how they trade and how they're trying to dominate the global market. I think countries like India and China and others are going to continue to purchase oil from Russia because they have a lot of it and it's cheap. Russia wants to sell it. And I think China will continue in its quest to become the global leader, right? And so the question is when are we squaring off with them? And most people believe it's probably going to be about Taiwan. And Taiwan, as you all know, is so critical because they make the chips that everyone wants. And as there's a greater and greater race for things like artificial intelligence and other technologies, Taiwan just becomes more important. And at some point, if China wants to dominate the tech race, they have to control Taiwan. It's almost a must. They know that. We know that. And that's why it's so critical. And so the possibility of Taiwan, a conflict arising in Taiwan soon, I think is becoming a very serious likelihood. I think probably what will happen is they'll try to just do a embargo. They'll try to surround the island and cut it off. And there'll be a standoff that doesn't necessarily mean that there will be an immediate conflict between us and China. It may take months. It may take months for that to happen. And then little by little, I think we could see some escalation. I mean, it could happen overnight, but I think that it would be more likely to see, what I just described. When this happens, it's not really an if. It's really a when. When this happens, it's going to affect a lot. We're most likely going to see markets greatly affected. We're going to see prices go up. We've already seen stuff go up because of the tariffs. And whether or not you like it, I would guess that probably 100%, other than the crazy trolls, 100% of my viewers do not enjoy purchasing items that are Chinese made. That if it were possible financially and just that it existed, you would choose an American made product. But unfortunately, that's not the reality on a lot of stuff. There's a lot of things that you just can't get American made. It's just what it is. And then many people can't afford American made. And as this continues to happen, as this kind of spirals, goods are going to go up. China could put us in a hurt. They could cut off certain things, could cut off pharmaceuticals. There's all kinds of things that they could cut off. And I know some of you are saying, well, it's going to hurt their economy. Maybe, actually, not as much as you think of Chinese exports come to the United States. It's a lot less than you think. They have a lot of big trading partners around the world. India, throughout the African continent, South America, and Europe everywhere. And so, and plus, I think China is much more resilient in a lot of ways than we are. And it's going to hurt. It could be a big bloody war, but it could also be really a financial bloodbath. And that is something that I've been trying to push for a long time. We have to be prepared for this. At some point, and very likely in our lifetime, and very, very likely sooner than later, we're going to see this conflict. And you have to start preparing for it, folks, because this is going to be something that will affect us in many ways. That's why you have to be, there's many other reasons to be getting yourselves prepared and stocked up and trained up and prayed up and all that kind of stuff. But this is a big one. We also don't know how much it'll affect us directly here on the homeland, not just economically into the supply chain, but through actual conflict and violence. And it does look like that China is building itself to that point of making its move. And looks like they're doing that a lot sooner than many people think. So I would suggest you get yourselves ready, folks. Get your houses in order. Prepare yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next video.